Good day, everyone. I'm Sheryl from the College of Fisheries and Aquatic Sciences, BS Fisheries Class A. Today, I'm going to present to you the final findings of my thesis or research entitled Practices in Fisheries Bycatch and Perception Towards Conservation of Horseshoe Crab in Barangay San Jose, Puerto Princesa City, Palawan. For the introduction, horseshoe crabs, locally known as barangkas, are an ancient group of marine arthropods. So horseshoe crabs are extremely important to the biomedical industry due to their blue blood that contains a substance called Tachypleus amebicide lysate or TAL. So horseshoe crabs are listed based on the criteria on the red list category of IUCN in the year 2019 because of the threats that they face, such as physical and chemical pollution, coastal development, overexploitation, including bycatch. So throughout Asia, horseshoe crabs are often considered a nuisance by local fishers due to their nuisance value of entangling in nets. So the reason why I chose this study is because in fisheries management approach, if we have resources, we have to protect, maintain, and conserve a specific organism, especially this neglected species like the tridentatus or horseshoe crab. So for the objectives of the study is first to determine the actions taken by fishers during horseshoe crab bycatch encounter, and second to capture the perceptions of fishers towards supporting horseshoe crab conservation. So the study area or the research was conducted in Barangay San Jose, Puerto Princesa City, Palawan. So for the materials and methods, data were gathered on one-on-one interviews with 30 fishers. So modified structured questionnaire was adapted from Nguyen et al. So it is a study focusing on turtle bycatch. So the questionnaire contained questions in 4 sections. First, social demographic profile. Second, fishing background effort. Third, characterizing fishing practices. And fourth, fishers' perception toward horseshoe crab conservation. So the chi-square test for association was used to identify relationship between social demographic characteristics of the respondents and their practices and perception to support horseshoe crab conservation. So for the result and discussion, so for Table 1 shows the social demographic profile of the respondents. So as you can see to the data, all respondents were male with a total of 30. So according to Dole, 90% of those employed in fisheries are men. And as you can see to the data, fishers in this study attained elementary and high school level with the same percentage of 43.3%. Majority were Catholic with 63.3%, and a high number of the respondents belongs to the Quionon ethnicity. So for the results and discussion in fishers practices during bycatch, so 73.33% of the respondents, or 22 in total, had encountered horseshoe crab bycatch. So out of the 22 fishers, 13 consumed it as food with percentage of 43.33%. So according to these fishers, they cook the eggs or the flesh with coconut milk, and sometimes they grate it flesh because as for them, it's very nutritious and delicious. So after consuming the horseshoe crab, they will leave the body or the exoskeleton of the animal and they make it as a decoration in their homes because they found it aesthetically pleasing and exotic. So 26.67% discarded or released the species back to the sea, and problems met during bycatch was mainly net damage causing struggle during fishing operation. So if we compare these results or this finding to other studies conducted in Asia, data were similar that they also experience bycatch, they consume it, discard, and even sell it. However, this study or findings do not found any cultural norms, values, superstitions, beliefs towards fishers practices, those if we compare it to those countries mentioned. So the table 2, the chi-square analysis between social demographic and their practices towards horseshoe crab bycatch. So as you can see to the table, age correlates with their practice in discarding or releasing the species back to the sea. So young fishers were most likely to discard or release the organism if we compare it to old fishers. So according to a study conducted in Australia entitled Age-Related Differences in Fishing Practices and Attitudes Toward Fishery Management, the results showed that younger fishers were more likely to practice catch and release fishing, and younger fishers were most likely to support such restrictions when we compare it to old fishers. Okay. So there was also a correlation or association rather between the respondents' ethnicity and their consuming practices. So a high number of Kuyonon, which is 10, were consuming horseshoe crab compared to other ethnicities such as Tagalog and Visayan. So there was a general lack of knowledge as to the reason why horseshoe crabs needs to be protected. So in this study, we did not just get their answers or opinions. However, as a researcher, we also downloaded some information for them. So particularly after being informed about the species biology, its biomedical significance, and its endangered status, so 73% of the respondents believe that having horseshoe crab around is important. 70.9% said that horseshoe crabs needs to be protected. 10% do not think so. 20% are still unsure, and there was no correlation between the social demographic and fishers' perception. So, according to the data provided, respondents were willing to conserve or to support horseshoe crab through various means. So, as you can see to the data, so according to fishers, 30% of fishers wanted to inform and encourage others. 30% or same percentage wanted to share or to show support in horseshoe crab conservation within their households, or it means, or meaning to say, they wanted to share it within their families or within their homes. So 26.7% of the respondents wanted to participate in programs and campaigns, and 13.3% wanted to practice conservation within oneself. So for the conclusion, majority encountered horseshoe crab bycatch. So practices recorded were consumed, discard or release, sell, and decor. So age correlates with their practices, and there was no correlation between demographics and their perceptions. So in addition, respondents were willing to support horseshoe crab conservation within oneself, within their households, and participations in campaigns and programs. So the study recommends that conservation movement should seek support or should actively engage and gain support from fishing communities. So this can be achieved by implementing conservation initiatives that involve educating and providing necessary resources to local fishers. So it is essential to organize seminars, workshops to enhance their understanding of conservation practices. So additionally, it is advisable to conduct further research specifically focused on studying conservation of horseshoe crabs. And for the last recommendation, the study suggests that it is important to utilize the IEC materials like brochure. So we think that, or the study suggests that it is very helpful because it will serve as an educational purposes that will help them conserve in a very easy way, or very easy to understand. So these serve as an example of an IEC material or brochure that I personally created or improvised with the intention of making it more easily understandable for children, specifically fishers, by utilizing the Filipino language. So it emphasizes the importance of horseshoe crabs, conservation initiatives, ultimately encouraging them to actively participate in conserving these creatures. So that could be all. Thank you very much for listening.